Hey guys, I'm back. I'm not dead. Sorry for the wait. Just had to do some life stuff, but we're so back. Also, do you guys like this new font? I like this new font. Anyway, sorry. For those of you who aren't here, second one, enjoy the video. Oh, and you should also, totally join our Discord so you can keep up to date on stuff. Okay, see ya. Kronos, an unmatched prodigy who cannot be foiled once he's paying attention. While a lot of people can find Kronos annoying or frustrating to deal with, it's pretty hard to say that those who are good with the style are unskilled. It involves a heavy level of game sense and range knowledge to understand where to move and why, and also to just make sure the biggest part of your kit doesn't completely lack a use. Kronos is another hardcore outboxer. Some consider it a counterpuncher, but I personally find it a bit of a stretch considering it doesn't deal much counter damage besides its heavy attack. Regardless, it heavily associates itself with moving quickly and erratically, overwhelming a player with swift hits that will slowly break them down. The thing about Kronos though is in its base form it's below average in almost every way possible. Low damage, low block damage, pretty lame anti-heal, some of the worst chip damage in the game, etc, etc. The only thing Kronos has an obvious advantage in at first is its dashes, which are quite quick and capable of double dashing, though recent patches have made this much more difficult. As such, landing perfect dodges are going to be a pretty big part of your strategy to keep damage going, since your heavy and heavy counters will be your largest source of damage for good chunks of the game. You also only have 90 HP rather than the normal 100, so attacks are going to sting you slightly more if you're caught. The big thing about Kronos, and probably why you're watching this video, is its ability, called Focus. This ability gains charge when you emote, land a counter, or land a perfect dodge. Once it's full, triggering it causes a brief effect and a unique sound to play while forcibly canceling whatever your opponent was just doing. Whether they were swinging or dashing, it doesn't matter. Something critical to know right off the bat though, canceling your opponent's swing does not mean they're stunned. Triggering Focus actually resets both of you back to a neutral state, meaning they can still swing and dodge normally right after. When you trigger Focus, your first swing will always come from your left, so trying to attack right after will usually result in you being perfect dodged. While you're in Focus mode, every part of your moveset has a massive boost to it. Your dashes are even faster, your damage is really high, your swings gain even more speed, and your counters become absolutely devastating. As a downside though, your anti-heal becomes the worst in the game and you can't block. Your focus is lost when you get hit, and that includes being perfect dodged. As such, you basically want to do whatever you can to not get smacked while getting as much damage in as you can. While you're in Focus, your focus bar also drains naturally, meaning you can lose focus over time even if you manage to never be hit. However, emoting during Focus can cancel this loss and actually start slightly filling the meter back up. This can be a great way to make opponents flinch and swing at you for a dodge you need. This is actually a good point to mention that some emotes, ones that are considered toxic, will stun you for longer than normal and will usually result in you being hit before you can move. These emotes are, take notes guys, Take Your Time, Laugh, Take the L, Guitar, Facepalm, Death Note, and Hikari. I also don't recommend using any emotes that take your camera off of your opponent, like Calculation or Phone Summon. Generally put emotes in your wheel that are easy to trigger, like Gun Trick Sword or Poke or whatever. Emotes that let you move can also be a bonus. For example, Slick Back can literally let you move backward while emoting, so that can actually be a slight advantage to you if you have it. Anyway, the biggest issue with Focus can be that swinging is extremely risky, so you'll naturally want to, well, focus on perfect dodging. When you do land a dodge in Focus mode, do not use it to heavy. I repeat, do not, because letting your stamina refill before attacking with a full Focus light string will deal infinitely more damage and block damage, and will set you up for huge moves later on. While your heavies in Focus mode also don't deal full anti-heal, being knocked out of Focus after can actually be an advantage, since you could get rid of all the health they could heal back right afterward. Keep Focus going as long as you can though, since landing an ultimate in Focus actually does bonus damage. Landing an ult in your base mode only does 45%, while Focus does the normal 50%. A trick I actually learned from another high tier player in the community is to use your first Focus as a kind of test, to determine how your opponent typically plays around a Kronos. The first time you use Focus in a game, just throw your first M1 like you usually would. Your opponent will have 3 options. They can backdash to escape it, try to perfect dodge your swing, or they'll just try swinging at you anyway. Depending on how they react to Focus the first time, this can inherently change your strategy later. You can feint to avoid that first dodge, chase their backdash, or swing at them since you will always outswing your opponent while in Focus mode. Remember that you get infinitely more off of an M1 string rather than an M2 while focused, so make sure to M2 feint to get the best output. Another big thing is that your opponent is likely always going to try to feint while you're in focus to catch you and break you out of it. This will probably be the way you lose focus 90% of the time. As such, you'll need to get to a point where you can assume almost everything coming is a feint and take advantage of that to land consistent counters. While this isn't an easy thing to do or train yourself to do, the payoff is massive if your game sense is acute enough to deflect every punch. Until you can get yourself to that point, challenge yourself to use your emotes to recharge focus and keep perfect dodging to get the best possible output from your round of focus. If you're worried about feints, your backdash is still available and your swings are fast enough to catch players who try to come after you. At the highest levels of play though, you want to be countering in focus as much as you can. Going so far as to land a heavy counter while focused can be absolutely devastating. I've seen focus wipe entire stocks before, which isn't easy. Oh yeah, small detail here, your focus goes away if either of you gets down, so remember that too. Since focus doesn't just make you invincible, it's going to take some time and effort to figure out the best way to keep attacks going, so don't feel bad if you struggle with it at first. Even in its base mode, Kronos is great at movement and can be a master at spacing and whiff punishing. Keep yourself just out of your enemy's reach and focus on your staggering while emoting really fast at any opportunity. The better you do, the faster you get focus back. So aim for counters and just do a funny dance when someone's trying to play passive against you. Being able to emote is a great way to force opponents to try and attack, as long as you don't flinch while dancing in their face.
Acute.
Kronos isn't an easy style to pick up, but it can be really hard to put down once you've figured it out. The reward for successful reads and counterattacks are off the charts with it, though there's also the chance you meet someone you can just never use focus against. If that happens to be the case, you'll have to utilize your mix-up and perfect dodge game. Don't hesitate to toss out a few random M2s if you're at a good distance, since those deal some pretty harsh counter damage. Your swings are quick, but not the quickest, so just watch your step and, well, focus, no pun intended. With this riveting guide, now complete by me, Dave Pyramid, I'm sure you'll be the best Kronos the game's ever seen. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I hope you learned something. Peace!
Let me break it down for you, Mark.